is where we're going. So now let's go way back to the very beginning and I'm going to show you step by step on how we get here. Hey y'all, welcome back. Today you are going to learn my secret for growing amazing pea shoots. Look at these guys. They're awesome. And after many tries and wasted pea seeds, I've got it down as to what works. And people try different things in different ways, but this is totally what's worked for me and it's consistent. Every single time I do this, it doesn't fail. So I'm not trying anything else anymore. I've got it. And I want to share it with you today. So first up, you need a container. And it can be any container that has a little bit of depth to it. You don't want it to be too shallow. This is actually a mushroom tray. Sam's Club, Costco, they have the big containers of mushrooms, they pile over and they wrap them in saran wrap. This is that container. I've been saving all of them, so get one of those. Carry-out containers usually work pretty good too. You can get the seed starting trays, find any type of container that doesn't have holes on the bottom. You can even use a bowl from your kitchen. You can use one of those Pyrex rectangle glass, what do you call them, baking dishes. You could use one of those. Those would actually be really good. I like that. Really nice depth too. That's cool. Just thought of that just now. So tray, first up. Number 2, soil. This is the one I use. And this is a Costco special. It's organic. It's a potting soil. What is important to me is just that it is a soil. It says potting mix, but it is actually like a soil. Usually when I grow seedlings from seeds, I plant in a sterile seed starting mix in particular, just to keep out things that the seeds aren't strong enough to handle yet. They're not ready for all of that stuff yet. So I try and just keep it pretty sterile. You can also plant, like when you grow microgreens, you can grow them in coconut coir, which has no nutrients in it at all. It just is a holding medium for them. Those are great for those things, okay? I love seed starting mix for my seedlings, and I love coconut coir for my microgreens. This, for these pea shoots, these are like microgreens on steroids, so they're a whole nother category for me. What I've discovered anyway, I put them in their own category. So what I like to use is an actual potting mix. It could even be a raised bed, your in-ground raised bed soil mix too. Yeah, that's what's worked for me. And so, soil, we need our soil. Okay, just kind of get out any chunks. See, I have it about 3/4 of the way full. You can see that's how deep it is. From the top, I have, the inch of my fingertip still available. 3/4 full. I put it in dry, and then I add my water to it. And you need a lot of water for this. You want this to go in definitely before you put your seeds in. If you pour the water in over top of your seeds, they get jammed down too far in the soil. They get all clumped up, moved around and everything. You want to know that your soil is set before you put your seeds in. And I just like to, there we go. I like to pat on everything to make sure that it's all absorbed. Pea seeds are large, so you don't need to worry about, any chunks that are in here, like, wood chips or kind of anything like that. It's not a big deal. So don't worry about that. Okay, so still really wet. Really wet. I mean, it's like, pick it up and that's wet, okay? That's good. Okay, so just pat it all down so it's all kind of even. Wipe my hand off here. So that is step 3. So we have our container, we have our soil, and now we put our soil in the container, okay? You with me so far? Pretty easy, right? Okay. Step 4 is seeds. Maybe these should be step one. I mean, they're kind of important, but so soil and so is the container. But this in your process, while you're using up the mushrooms to save your tray, you want to be starting your seeds first, okay? So we're gonna have to do a little magic of filming this in the reverse order. We're a little bit out of sync, so, because this is where I'm at in the process, right? Okay, peas. These are considered sprouting peas. Like if you look online, I think I got these from trueleafmarket.com, and they have a lot of microgreens supplies there, and a lot of varieties of seeds for microgreen growing. So that's where I got these. Because if you buy like containers of seed packets to sow in your garden, you get a few seeds in a tiny little packet and it's a couple $. This you can get like a pound of them in a big container for a good price. Sprouting is what you're looking for. This is what the seeds look like. They're peas, right? Everybody's seen peas. You eat peas, these are just like dried versions of the peas you eat, and they're a mud green, brown kind of color. Okay. What you do to get your seeds ready is you take, I'm losing more, a 1/4 cup of seeds. Keep these in a container that is at least closed up to keep the air out of it. And if you're storing them for a long period of time, you want to put it in a container that doesn't have all this much empty space. But I'm working through this, and these are going to go fairly quickly. Okay, 1/4 cup of seeds. Pour it back into your jar. And I bought these online, just a seed sprouting screen, for soaking seeds, for making sprouts. You can find those on Amazon. Just replace it. It doesn't come with anything but this, and then you take out your own insert of your jar lid, put it in there, screw it on. We're gonna go put water in this, fill it up, and you're gonna leave it sit at least overnight. I usually do about 12 to 15 hours, and then I will rinse it really good, like maybe 2-3 times. You want to pour it, fill it, pour it, and rinse it off really well. You'll see some sliminess on the bottom, like where it's been sitting or on the sides, and it's time to get it cleaned up. And then once you've done that and rinsed it and it's clean, you just kind of leave it sit on its sides so they're all spread out here. And then if you have a towel to set it on, or you can even do it on a little angle, that's great. So what I'll do is, I'll show you all my secrets here, right? I'll have my towel out on the counter. I'll have my guys I'm eating, my new ones, and then these guys that are sprouting, those are extra ones. And then I'll rinse, soaked overnight up to about 15 hours, rinse them really well so there's no more sliminess, the water's clear, pour it all off, and then I just sit them here on the towel and lean them up against the tray. So now the towel keeps them stationary, they don't slip, and now the water can drain out. And then I'm gonna rinse these again in the evening before bed, and then the next morning I'm gonna rinse them again, and probably by that evening I will see some sprouts on them, and that's awesome. And then you just rinse it again before bed, celebrate that you see a couple of the seeds splitting open, and then you do this, rinse them, drain them, set them out another day, and it's probably gonna take till your 3rd day of letting them sprout. So you've soaked for basically, overnight, a little bit longer than that. You've let them sprout for 2.5, days, maybe the 3rd day, depending on, time of day and all that stuff. And they're gonna have those little tails. These are sprouted, which means they are alive and they have tails on them now. You see those? There's a whole bunch of them like this. These are looking really good, actually, yeah. Okay, about like this. Some can even be, further along. Some have a little bit of green starting. Sometimes you can even be further, and you might actually have some that have like a small leaf forming on them. That's fine too. Could be a little bit younger than this, but this is actually the day. I love them this size personally, okay? So we're taking all of these guys, and we're gonna sprinkle them on here. Just pour them out. every single one. Okay. Then just move them around so that they are gently, you don't want to push them into the soil. You want them to sit on top here. So we're just trying to even it out so that most everything is a single layer. I have tried this with less seeds and more seeds, and this is the perfect amount in my book. Okay, so there they are, all spread out, sitting on top. Back to our soil. What are we on? Number 5 now. So we got our seeds, sprouted seeds. Now we're putting more of our soil on. And we're just sprinkling enough, you can see, to cover up the seeds, those tails. But we don't want to put too much on. I'm not trying to be like, it doesn't have to be like 100% perfect. If you see a little bit of them through, no problem. But you want a general, good, fairly decent cover. Just a little bit. Handful or so of extra soil we've put on top, okay? Now you can lightly press on it, but you just want to make this soil have connection or is touching the peas. And here's the thing, because it's so wet underneath, I'm not going to re-water this on the top for right now. What's going to happen is we're just kind of pressing it in a little bit, and it's already soaking up. The top layer of soil I've added is already getting moist. So it's going to help dry out that what was below. And now we've got a really good base for the seeds. And now they are set, they are planted. And then what we do, grab handy towel again, wipe off some of the dirt anyway. Then I take this towel and I lay it over top. Was that 6? Place towel over top. And I leave this on the counter for a couple days. I'm gonna check it just by lifting the lid off, the towel off, and I'm gonna make sure that it still looks moist. Can you see how it's already soaking up and how dark it is? You want it to be that dark color. You can even touch it as long as you feel the moisture, you're good. When it starts to dry out, it's gonna get a little bit lighter. And then you wanna re-water it if that's the case. When it does get dry, do this, or your faucet in the kitchen, have it on really, really gentle and just kind of pour over it atop. Just be careful, because if you pour too fast, too hard, you're gonna move all the soil out of the way and just create a bit of a mess, and it's gonna flood your seeds and disturb their roots and all that, and we don't want that. So cover them back up, and we're gonna let them be and check on them for a few days, you know, 3 days, maybe 4 days. You know, see how they're doing. By the 3rd day, maybe you need to water them, depending on your climate and all, and we're just gonna let them sit, okay? Now you can fast forward a few days, and here you go. Look at this, how quickly they do it. They're already trying to turn towards where the light was, and they're bending a little bit. You see them bending towards the light. These have been covered, and it was that same towel I just took off. It had been sitting on these. These are still not ready to be uncovered, but look how well they've sprouted. These guys are 3 or 4 days old. As far as since I put the towel on and did that process there for number 6, this is what they're doing like 3 or 4 days later. I've watered them once, and here I could even water them a little bit more. But I mean, seriously, this is just how you put it in. You know, probably be a little bit more when they first need a good drink to re-water them. But just be careful, because like you can see, this one is broken. Could have been because I was too rough on the towel, or you know, whatever. So you don't want to be too rough on them. But these I still keep under the towel, okay? The towel, let me borrow this guy back again and I'll show you. I still keep this, you know, on here. As it gets a little bit longer, a little bit taller, you might only want to have like 1 layer of a towel. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for darkness purposes, but just the weight you want to keep on them to keep them dark, because we don't want them to turn green like these beauties. We want them to stay this yellow color and focus on their roots. And by having this weight on them, this creates a little bit more pressure on them, so they have to grow harder to get up there, right? So they're growing stronger, they're becoming stronger because I'm challenging them this way. So I leave them honestly until the shoots are probably about this tall. And then I take the towel off and leave them, and by a day or sooner, they will be fully green, okay? And then it's just a matter of, you know, once they're about this tall, towels off and they become green, another couple days they're gonna be like this tall, and then they start to fall over because now they're really getting serious with their growth. And this is perfect because out in the wild of your garden, their little tendrils are going to be coming out and be winding around things to keep them going and growing. And so they're looking for that stuff right now. They've got those little tendrils out. There's nowhere for them to go right now. But this is perfect. Cut them as you need them. Sometimes they will regrow a little bit if you cut them higher, like, I don't know, like this guy, if you cut him like right here, you might get another one because this guy's got a leaf, you know, right there, could grow out. If you cut them above a branching, you know, leaf, they may regrow a little bit, but for as fast as these grow and as sporadic as the regrowth is, I don't find it's really worthwhile to try and get a second growth out of them, unless by the time I start eating a little bit of this, if it takes me maybe a week to get through this whole thing, these have regrown a little bit, cool, and I can reharvest them, no big deal. But I don't let the whole tray go, like and then try and let it regrow, because it takes way too long, it's too sporadic, you don't get enough of a second growth. They're kind of done, you've used up the power of these seeds, and let's get another one hot on its heels going. So I keep this in the mix, you know, always having some soaking, sprouting, then growing here, germinating, getting roots going here, and then eating, you know, right here. If you keep that process going, you're always going to have some great stuff. And then when you're totally done with it, I can pull this up now that I watered it and it's heavier. You see all the roots growing down there? It's awesome. But you just take this whole thing out. It just pulls right out of the tray, and then you crumple it up a little bit and put it outside in your compost, or just throw it into your veggie bed. Peas are amazing for your soil, so for these to break down in your soil is only going to feed back to the soil and enrich it, so it's amazing. Nothing is wasted, okay? So there you have it. I gotta grab another towel to cover up my newbies. I'll put these guys to the side. Let me tell you some of what I've learned that I want to be clear about, so that you know to not change it up on this to make sure you get these same results. You must soak your seeds first, okay? Some people have just taken peas and put them directly into their soil, covered it up and let it be good. Don't do that. That's how you plant them out in the garden. You know, you just take a seed and you kind of put it in the ground, right? Cover it up, water it, and let it go. Don't do that with these, okay? Soak them first. Then some people will take them soaked, rinse them off, pour it all out, and then put them in their seeds. Then put the seeds in their tray and cover it up. And don't do that either. Let them sprout for that 2.5, you know, ish days, so they get those little tails before you put them in your soil. Just don't skip the step. Trust me, it works. Now, here's a little tip for you. If the seeds are coming along and they're looking like they're really ready, or they're gonna be ready tonight or something, or that night they're looking really good, in the morning you're like, oh wow, I need to do these, but I don't have time. If you wanna slow them from continuing to grow and get too far past the point, like if they start getting full on, like, you know, leaves and stuff like these guys have, it's gonna be a little bit more of a challenge to get them to grow. Now they're actually just your sprouts and they're ready to eat. But then to put them in soil and get them to reorient themselves and actually develop, you know, the roots to then stand up like these guys do and grow out, turn into shoots, not really gonna happen. So you need to hold them in that spot where they are right now and not grow anymore. Put them in the fridge, okay? Just take this very same jar. They're looking beautiful, sprouted, got some tails, put it in the fridge, and that'll slow that growth for you, them further developing, give you a little bit extra time. What else do you want to make sure not to change? Covering them, okay? They don't need light to sprout, and so I didn't used to cover them. I would just leave them out like this, and I found that they just don't develop the same, because as soon as these pop up, as they pop up, you know, some will come up a little bit sooner than others, depending on the, you know, where they were at in that sprouting stage. And now they're going to get light immediately, so now they're going to focus on the chlorophyll, right, and becoming green. and it creates uneven development in here, and they just didn't work very well. There wasn't a consistent crop of growth. It was very spotty. You know, these are consistent, you know, in their height and their size. They're all growing, you know, together. And I found once I toweled them, it really did that for them. Because you can even see these guys. There are still some that are very baby right down there. They're going to be popping up, and then some are taller. So it really holds them back a bit so that all of them kind of catch up. There's still going to be some uneven growth, but it's a huge help. So towel, don't forget the towel. And eventually take the towel off around day 4, maybe. They're going to be about this tall, you know, probably about, what is that, like 5-6 inches tall? 5 inches maybe is when I would take the towel off. At some point the towel is going to be too much, and then they're just going to like all flop over, and they'll start growing out, trying to get to the light. They'll grow out from underneath, you know, this. So when this towel starts to push them over, now they're too tall, and you can take it off. They'll still recover, and that's fine, but that may be a clue for you once they start to fall over that the towel's been on long enough. Okay. So there's that tip, and I already said don't use the coconut core. You need some nutrients, because as long as these guys are going to be growing, I found that using soil with nutrients is helpful. Those big bags are actually cheaper than your coconut core, and your seed starting mix way cheaper than the seed starting mix. So it's actually a better deal for you, and I've never had a problem. Now, I don't even, as far as like sanitariness goes, I don't even wash this tray when it's done, okay? I seriously take this out, and then let's see if I can just pull it out here and I'll show you. It's, you know, it's like not much is in there, right? It's just a little bit of crumbs. So I may rinse this in water to get those crumbs out. I don't even need to do that. I don't know why I bother rinsing. But look at it. There's nothing growing in there, okay? There's no mold. There's no ickiness. There's no fuzz. There's no bugs all over this. It's fine, okay? If you had a crop that got gross, like you just left it there too long, or you didn't water it and it got moldy, or you know, you went out of town on vacation, you come back and it just looks kind of gross, or there's like bugs crawling on it, you get a lot of like the fruit flies and things, then I would wash it with some hot soapy water, okay? But otherwise, no. Just rinse if you're so inclined like I do. I just like to start with a, it's like get the dirt off kind of in a way, you know, but yeah, I don't wash. There you go. These guys are pretty hardy. So, I mean, you can, they're not too fragile as they go. So there you have it. If I've missed anything, if you have any questions, that is the process that has been working for me. And honestly, I consistently get this day in and day out, week in and week out. And how long is that from soak to eating? It's 1, 3.5, 4. Yeah, I would probably say 10 days is my estimate to get here. And then these are gonna last. I mean, also because they're in soil, they're gonna last too. It's not like they reach a point and you're like, you gotta transplant me because now I have no more nutrients. They don't get like that. So you can delay, stretch out eating these, just water them as they get dry. There will get to be a point when they start to like get wilty down here, just because you haven't watered them consistently. You'll kind of see that, but these last for a while. You're basically growing outside peas indoors. So they will get to a point when they don't have enough in this soil either, because they are so intensely grown together. So there will come a point when they're just not healthy anymore, and they just kind of start to fade, and you're like, but I'm watering them. What's going on? They're so intensely packed together that they've exhausted the nutrients that's in this soil for them, and you need to start over. So that's also partly why I don't think it's worth it to try and regrow. The plants have just been through so much. They put out all of their energy growing like this, and now you've like whacked them down, but you've also exhausted it from the soil as well. So it's another tip for you, but these are gonna last. Like, I have no problem like starting to eat these and taking a week to eat them. Not a problem. And I don't put anything in the fridge, if I didn't say that already. Nothing goes in the fridge unless your sprouted seeds need to be delayed for planting. I'll put that in the fridge. Otherwise, these sit out on the counter. They don't need to sit by a window. Honestly, these actually sit in the middle of my kitchen on the island, and there is no direct sunlight over there. They may get some really indirect, like from this light, that, you know, this window that comes like way over or something. And that's what turns them green, but that little bit of indirect is more than enough. So if you put them in like your movie room, that's a totally darkened room of your house, yeah, you may have a problem with that. Or if you put them like in your bathroom and it's closed in all the time, there's no lights, no windows in there, not gonna be a great one for you. But diffused light is more than enough to get these guys going. Okay, so last random tip for you there. Glad I thought of that one. So, I hope you do grow some seeds, grow some pea shoots, and let me know, please, like, come back, see how it goes for you. I love when I see more people growing, because, you know, using tips that I've learned and can maybe help you on your journey, make it a little bit easier for you. And the more we can grow our own food, the more self-sustainable we become. It's amazing. And I love it. And hope you found this of value and you enjoyed it. So like, share, subscribe, comment, post pictures, ask questions, all that fun stuff. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again, or you'll see me again in the next video. Bye for now.